Hey guys, Rob Boehner, producer at LiveX, and today I've got the Blackmagic Ursa Studio Viewfinder. Now, this viewfinder is made to work with Ursa cameras, Ursa mini cameras. We typically would use those in a 4K live environment where we would want the studio build up so that our camera operators can have a good control from behind the camera of what they're doing. There are a couple of things that are really cool about this, not to mention its native integration with the Ursa cameras. It also has built-in tally, which is really helpful and doesn't really give you that option in the paddle that comes out of the Ursa minis. And you know, it just makes the camera look really, really good, especially in front of a client. So out of the box, we have this welcome documentation and the software and manual. You don't need that. You can go to blackmagicdesign.com/support. To download the latest firmware and manual and instructions. One thing I will say, you wouldn't think that monitors have a firmware, but I'm willing to bet this does, considering that the viewfinder on the Ursa Mini has gone through several iterations of firmware already since its release. So here is a mounting bracket for the viewfinder itself. Inside of here, we have the viewfinder. Really solid build quality. This is metal that I have my hands on right now. We have our connections, 4-pin XLR for power, as well as the BNC connection for the viewfinder to get the image there. On top here, so this will mount onto the Ursa Mini with this bracket, and then you will slide on this panel, or this V-lock. Is very similar to every other viewfinder studio build-up that's out there on the market from Sony, Hitachi, Panasonic, whatever. They all have this kind of a connection. We like the Ursa Minis a lot because it allows us to do 4K live production, multi-camera, without a huge investment on our side or on the client side. When you compare it to like the HTC 4300s, this is a much more economical choice and a much easier sell for our clients who want that 4K quality, but don't necessarily need the same camera that is used on the Super Bowl or the Oscars. I will say that I'm trying to slot this off. It's okay, it came off. It'll come off a lot easier once these brackets are mounted down to the camera itself. You have on the back, we have the tally light, we have the camera connection and power. These knobs which allow you to rotate. This would generally sit like that, so it could sit on top of your camera here. That's fully customizable as far as the angle of where the bracket is and the angle of the viewfinder monitor itself. I will say I am surprised at the build quality in general of this. It's very solid, very metal feeling. Typical studio build-ups are being used on a pedestal or a heavy-duty tripod, something like a Video 18 or higher. It's very solid build quality and something to keep in mind when selecting the right tripod for an already kind of weighty, heavy Ursa camera, or a little bit better on the Ursa Mini. This little piece of plastic just protects it, but this right here is a, polycarbonate plastic of sorts. It has a matte felt on the inside that is meant to not reflect light into your monitor. As you can see, it looks a little shoddy craftsman work on the inside of this hood because of the way that this fabric just kind of has a bubble here, but that bubble is because of this swivel connection. So when you tilt this up, the fabric has enough room here. But I will say that that is not really solid design work and kind of surprising from Blackmagic, who's known for things being exceptionally clean in their design. even with that folded out, you can see how there's still kind of this bubbling of this fabric here. Not a big deal, doesn't affect the function by any means. I do like that they give you the option to kind of open this thing up, especially if the camera is going to be lower in any way, and or your monitoring solution is going to be lower in any way. That's really helpful. This is the on-off button over here, and then we have menu options inside. One cool thing about this is, and about the whole Ursa Mini Live environment, is that through ATEM, you can send back program, color control, talkback to the camera. This will allow you can toggle between your program source and your actual camera source in case you want to see what's going on. These giant knobs over here are for brightness, contrast, and peaking. It's nice to have them big and to have this sort of reflective dial here to know where you are in the dark. It is helpful. I don't think that knobs this large or this ugly are all that necessary. Kind of look like the tops of lipsticks. Sometimes people complain about knobs being too small, so I guess Blackmagic just decided that they were going to make these really big. The hood itself is removable. We can unscrew these screws here and take the hood off to get a better look at the image. The Viewfinder Monitor itself is very similar to what you would see in Blackmagic's 4K Video Assist, and also very similar to the panel that comes on the Ursa. Right out of the box, generally, they don't tend to be too accurate, so I would spend some time, have your V1 or somebody send bars back to you and try to calibrate this a little better so that you're seeing what the director's seeing when you're live. The connection to it is USB-C. We're seeing this a lot in some of the new Blackmagic devices, and USB-C is just kind of taking over in general. MacBooks obviously have gone all USB-C, and we're starting to see those trickle into PC products as well. USB-C for firmware updates. They don't give you a USB-C cable with it, but that's okay. They also have USB-C to USB 3 connections, cables that you can plug into one of your older laptops or your existing workstation that takes USB 3. The function buttons on the front here can be used for things like peaking. You'll get those through the menu. So, and the menu button also pushes in and has a selector knob. It's a really solid build quality, real solid viewfinder overall. And anyone who's doing studio work with the Ursa family, I would definitely recommend getting this viewfinder unless you're only using it out in the field. This is a really great viewfinder for those of you who are in a multi-camera live environment or live to tape environment with the Ursas. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So once again, I'm Rob Baynard, producer at LiveX. Thanks for watching this unboxing, and hit subscribe down below or follow us on our social channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn at LiveX Production. Once again, I'm Rob Baynard, producer at LiveX. Thanks for watching.